It was supposed to be just another camping trip. 5 friends, Mia, Jack, Ben, Sarah, and Leo, decided to spend the weekend deep in the old pine forest near the abandoned railway tracks. The locals warned them not to stay after sunset. They laughed. That was their first mistake. The deeper they went, the quieter it got. No birds. No insects. Just the sound of their footsteps on dry leaves. By the time they reached the clearing, the sun was already gone, swallowed by the thick fog rolling in from nowhere. Ben started the fire. Jack set up the tents. Everything felt normal, except for that faint smell of iron in the air. At 10 p.m., they heard the first scream. It came from somewhere behind the trees, far, but close enough to freeze the blood in their veins. Mia swore it sounded like a woman's voice, crying for help. But when they called out, the forest called back. Exactly the same voice. Same words. Same tone. They didn't know it yet, but the woods were listening. The scream didn't come again that night, but none of them could sleep. The forest felt alive. Every branch, every whisper of wind sounded like a breath on their necks. Leo joked that they were being watched, but no one laughed this time. At 2:14 a.m., the fire suddenly went out. No wind, no sound, just darkness. Then, from the shadows, a soft whisper came. It said Mia's name. She froze. It was her mother's voice. "Mia, come here!" Ben grabbed his flashlight. Nothing. Just fog and trees. But the voice came again, closer now. "Mia, please help me!" She started walking toward it, like in a trance. Sarah screamed for her to stop. But Mia's eyes looked empty, like she wasn't even there anymore. Jack ran after her, pulling her back by the arm. And that's when they saw it. A figure, standing between the trees. Still. Watching. Too tall to be human. And its face, blurred, shifting, like smoke caught in shape. The voice changed. It wasn't her mother anymore. Now it was Ben's. "Guys, help me!" But Ben was standing right next to them. For the rest of the night, they stayed inside the tent, holding the flashlight, listening to their own voices calling from the dark. When dawn came, they packed in silence. Mia's shoes were wet with mud, but she swore she never left the tent. They decided to leave. The moment the sun rose, they packed everything, not even finishing breakfast. But the fog didn't lift. No matter how far they walked, the forest looked the same. The same crooked trees, the same fallen log, even the same broken branch they'd passed an hour ago. Leo tried to joke again, but no one was in the mood anymore. Mia just kept whispering that someone was following them. By noon, they realized Ben was gone. At first, they thought he'd gone ahead on the trail. Then they found his backpack, still open, food half-eaten, lying next to a tree. "Ben?" Jack shouted. His voice echoed strangely, like the forest threw it back, but slower. "Ben!" came the reply. It sounded like him, but tired, distant. They followed the sound, calling his name again and again, until they reached a small clearing they hadn't seen before. In the middle stood an old wooden sign, covered in moss. Carved into it, faint words. "Leave your name to stay forever." Beneath it, carved letters. Ben. Jack stepped back, his face pale. "That wasn't here yesterday," he whispered. Then the wind stopped. Everything went still. From behind the trees, footsteps. Ben walked out, smiling, too calmly. "Where were you?" Sarah asked, crying. He tilted his head slightly. "Right here," he said. "But you left." His voice was flat. His eyes, darker than before, like empty glass. When he hugged Mia, she flinched. His clothes were cold and wet, and his reflection didn't show in her phone screen when she pointed the flashlight. That night, Ben didn't sleep. He just sat outside the tent, staring into the fog, and whispering something over and over again. No one dared to ask what it was. But around 3 a.m., they realized he was whispering their names, one by one. By the next morning, no one trusted Ben anymore. He didn't eat. He didn't blink. Sometimes, they'd catch him staring at the trees, like he was listening to something they couldn't hear. They decided to keep moving, hoping to find a road. But instead, they found it. The cabin. It stood in a hollow between the hills, half buried under roots and moss. The wood was blackened with age, and the door hung crooked, open just enough for the fog to slip inside. "Let's not," Sarah whispered, but Mia was already walking toward it, as if pulled by something unseen. Inside, it smelled of wet wood and old smoke. Dust floated in the air like ash. On the walls, carvings, hundreds of names. And at the bottom of the list, freshly scratched into the wood: Ben, Mia, Jack, Sarah, Leo. Jack's hands trembled. "That wasn't there yesterday," he said. Ben stood in the doorway, smiling faintly. "It's just names," he muttered. "But they look alive." When Mia touched the wall, the wood was warm, pulsing, like it had a heartbeat. Then, from somewhere inside the cabin, came the sound of footsteps. Slow, heavy, too many, like someone was walking in circles beneath the floor. Leo shone his flashlight down a broken staircase that led underground. The light hit something, a mirror, and in it, their reflections, but only 4 of them. Ben wasn't there. When they turned around, so was he. But this time, his smile was wider. "Why are you running?" he said softly. "You've already been here before." Then the door slammed shut. The forest outside went silent again. The cabin stayed quiet for hours. No one spoke. No one moved. When the door finally creaked open, the fog outside had grown thicker, almost solid. They couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. Leo found an old tape recorder on the table. Dusty, cracked, but still working. There was a tape inside. A label written in faint letters. "Do not play at night." He pressed play anyway. At first, just static. Then, a voice. A man's voice, broken, tired. "If you're hearing this, it means the forest chose you. It doesn't take people, it takes voices. It copies them, whispers them back, until you can't tell what's yours anymore. When you hear yourself call your name, run." Then silence. And faintly, their own voices. Mia's scream. Sarah's laugh. Jack's whisper. But none of them had spoken. Ben stepped closer to the recorder. "It's not just voices," he said softly. "It's memories." Suddenly, the tape hissed louder, and a new voice came through. Mia's again. "Don't trust Ben." Everyone froze. Ben smiled. "That's not funny," Leo said. But when they looked at Ben, He was gone. Only the tape kept running, repeating the same 3 words. Slower and slower. Don't trust. Ben. Then a sound. Footsteps. Close. Behind the recorder. Leo turned on the flashlight and saw himself standing in the doorway. But the real Leo was still holding the light. His copy smiled and whispered, I told you to run. The flashlight flickered. The tape snapped. Darkness swallowed the cabin. And for a moment, just before everything went quiet, Mia heard all their voices whisper together from the fog outside. Stay with us. Then silence. Only the recorder remained, playing the last echo of their words, looping forever in the empty forest. The end.